I have to
Yeah,
wipe out
'cause
his iMac.
yeah, he needs that desperately,
Uh,
desperately needs it.
hmm So I don't have to
So,
hear him drone on about, oh, I can't get on yeah, yeah, you gotta do
Jeff, Jeffrey, you'll be all right, man.
it.
You'll be all right soon as get you, soon as George gets you all squared away. You'll be all right.
Yeah, I think he has two 4 gig chips. He has 8 gigs in there. There are 4 slots in that iMac, and he's going to upgrade to 32 gigs.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
and then, I'm going to put in the RAM first, but then I have to basically, um, I have to save everything with the Time Machine, application, and then we have to blow out the entire, operating system, um, and then put the new one in because it's going to require, a complete format of the
yeah.
iMac.
Sounds like fun.
Oh, piles of fun. My father
Sounds
said
like
you
a.
should never have piles. So
It sounds like a just a just a great time.
to put it mildly, it will be a bitch and a half. Because
I think that's putting it nicely.
I not have to do the iMac. I have to do the MacBook because he has the Mac. Because he started the
Oh
program with the
man.
Mac. Yeah, we started the program with the MacBook,
So
and
yeah,
then
he's
and
gonna
then
need
he
both
switched
of them.
over to the iMac. So yeah, I gotta. I think the most he can get to is Catalina. I think the
Okay.
newest one is Ventura. No, the newest one is I think it's Big Sur is the newest operating system. I do not know if it will go on there. I told him to buy it's like 6 operating systems on one, like USB flash drive.
Okay.
So so we'll see what
So
we can we'll see what we can get away with.
I hope that works. So definitely hope that works. Alrighty, just getting everything set up. Let me open up this email. Open up these emails. So it won't be on my phone. I have to try to squint my eyes to try to see it. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, I hope when we get some more money that, I could travel to your place and do the Bruce Wayne setup, and then we can go over to Thomas's place, do the Bruce
right,
Wayne setup, and
right,
everybody gets the same thing at the
yeah,
same, everybody has all the same stuff. So
yeah, absolutely.
yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
Okay, we got one more minute.
So
We are
we're gonna
live.
do it live on. Let's see where.
We're live on
Live,
YouTube.
live on YouTube, Twitch, Trovo. I don't know.
Trovo. Oh,
Yeah. So Thomas signed up for Trovo. So I was like, yeah, all right, streaming on Trovo.
okay.
And I don't got to do something about with the Facebook, or at least for Thomas's Facebook on for Villains View, because the the one that's connected to the Ghost Claw is on his old um, Ghost Claw page, not on the new one. So
Okay.
I don't know what's up with that. I'm not sure what he has to do on his end or what, but anyway, that leads us into 6 o'clock, and we are live on GCPR. And I am Gilbert. This is George. I am the angry IT nerd. He is the techno geek, and so am I. And we are the help desk. We are here to help you with all your IT needs. So we are set up here. We have a handy dandy email address so that you can all email us. That is gcprhelpdesk at gmail.com. Again, that is gcprhelpdesk at gmail.com. Send us a question, you know, what's on your mind. If you want to talk tech, you got a question for us, let us know. We can help you out. So, George, how you doing today, man?
I'm doing well. I'm doing I'm doing a lot better than I was a few days ago. Uh,
That's good to
Trying
hear.
to create the audio server um, for GCPR using Ubuntu,
Yeah, how's that going?
and failing miserably at it because Ubuntu is more like a line. I guess it's more like a line command. Well, it's a flavor of Linux, and it is built on the Linux platform, and Linux, of course, is built on the Unix platform. Unix being mostly a line command language where you would just, go line by line and use line commands in order to install applications, to run applications and stuff like that. Um, so I had an old computer, like an old Dell computer, Core i5 with like 8 gigs of RAM, 250 gig hard drive. And on the Windows side, when you're building, because it was originally made for Windows 7, so I figured,
Okay.
you know what, I'm going to try Ubuntu. I'll try it out. Um, I'll see if it works. Maybe I can build the audio server that way. Well,
Okay.
I installed the operating system. I made a bootable USB drive. Downloaded the operating system, which is free. Ubuntu is free. It's a free application. It's open source, which means that you can use a lot of different things with it. You can use a lot of different, other, programs with it. Um, a lot of Android apps can be used with it as well. And a lot of iOS apps can be used with it as well, with, like with Mac and stuff like that. Um, but it did work on this Windows, box that I had. So, um, unlike Windows, when I installed it, it found everything. It found everything on the motherboard. It found the sound card. It found the video. One of the problems I do have when I'm actually creating or actually, building a Windows PC is the Windows driver for the network. There's two Windows drivers. There's a wireless LAN driver, and then there's a gigabit Ethernet driver. Well, Ubuntu just found it and just loaded the driver, and I was up and running on the internet. You know, after all of the mounting points, went
Mm-hmm.
through, and everything was fine. I was like, okay, great. I'm putting it
Right.
through, and I was like, well,
Going good
I
so
don't
far, but
I don't really. Well, all right. I don't
says
really
so
know
far.
Ubuntu because it's more line based command. It's the sudo
It's like the sudo
command
git, sudo install.
sudo get, yeah,
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
And um using ChatGPT helped a lot, like asking it, I need to do this, I need to do that, and
Mm-hmm.
trying to learn it as I was doing, as I installed it. I got to a certain point and I was like, well, I'm running around in circles. It was just going around in circles, and I was like, it's kind of like that circle you see in Windows where it's just loading and
It's
loading and
just
loading. Yeah, it
or
was like the
sometimes
circle of death, I like to call it. So
when it does like the little asterisks and each little point light up and it's just like tick tick tick
yeah,
tick tick tick
and
tick. tick. And it
it
just
was it it kind of read like stereo instructions to me, and I was like, okay, I know I'm not going to get anywhere with this. It was very interesting, It is a
Okay.
developmental language. It is used for research and development. I don't know if it can be used for 3D printing. I would assume it can, like maybe
Well, it, if
certain
the
facets of it, perhaps.
well, perhaps. I mean, if the 3D modeling program, works on it, and the uh, the slicer program, which the slicer program, it makes a 3D model into a printable 3D
Right,
model, so the printer can recognize it.
right.
So
Because
if
it,
you're
it, it,
the slicer, the slicer have it works on it, then yeah, it should be an issue. Yeah.
it can be downloaded for Raspberry Pi, which I found out. So if you have a Raspberry Pi computer, board, you can actually
Mm-hmm.
download that installer and put Ubuntu on it.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
the Raspberry Pi being this, I think it's the smallest computer on the planet. So,
Yeah, and
um,
those you can use those for like many a whole lot of different applications with 3D printing.
right,
Um, which is simply is monitoring it, setting prints up there, um, or even just stopping and starting it, pausing it, you know, changing models out. You know, you could program it to basically run the printer for you if you wanted to. So I mean,
right.
yeah, it's very
Yeah,
it's a
it
very
is.
versatile, very versatile
Yeah,
little
yeah.
tool. Yeah.
Um, so trying to create an audio server that puts us as a presence onto the internet, I figured, oh, this is going to be great. We're going to, no problem. We're going to do this. It's going to blow everybody away. Well, it blew me out of the water when I'm trying to do all the line commands, and I say I need an interface, and all of a sudden I thought to myself, well, wait a minute. I never downloaded Ubuntu Desktop, which is actually GNOME. It's called. It's GNOME. GNOME is a GUI. It's a graphical user interface that you can use for Ubuntu. And I downloaded, the desktop. So it basically took all of my line commands and it made it into kind of like a Windows esque.
Okay.
And I
All right.
and I do stress the word esque, or the syllable esque desktop. It's not Windows. It is
Windows adjacent.
Ubuntu, but in yes,
It's Windows adjacent. It's not.
right.
It's Windows Light.
Yeah, it's like Windows Light.
Yeah. So I've
It's
seen
actually Windows that works.
that's the best way to put it. Yes.
It's Windows that works. So I had that, and I'm like, oh, this is great. I can go in, I can grab all these, um, applications, and I had to grab about 11 applications in order to try to make the server work. And I was like, how
Okay.
much, memory is this taking on the hard drive? I'm looking at the hard drive, and the hard drive, I think I used about a megabyte of just memory on the hard drive.
Wow.
Like I had, I had already had 25 applications on there, including the operating system, and I was like, that doesn't make any sense. I was like, well, Windows uses like, a couple of gigs,
Right.
right? Well, maybe like a gig, or like a few gigs, and I'm like, and I'm looking at the operating system. I'm like, oh, this is not using a lot of memory at all. I said, this is why this is so fast. And I said, okay, so it's cutting through all of the,
Yeah. It
um,
doesn't have to. It's not pulling a lot of resources from like
right, right,
um,
exactly,
transitions, animating, and all the little bells and whistles, so to speak, to make it look nice. Yeah.
right. So, I was doing a little bit more reading this week, and there, there's a guy there's a guy on YouTube. His name is Colonel. He's called Colonel, It's Kernel, Colonel. Shout
Okay.
out to Colonel. He has a YouTube channel, and he basically um, was telling people about Ubuntu. Now, Ubuntu is supposed to be um,
Like the Windows
it's supposed to
version.
look like Windows 11, but
Right.
it is Ubuntu. And now Ubuntu is made by a company, or actually put out by a company called Canonical. Ubuntu is not. Ubuntu is not associated with. It's not associated with, I believe, Ubuntu. It's not associated with Canonical. It is
Hmm.
some other guy's attempt at creating um, a more robust Windows type of operating system, and it uses many of the same nuances as Ubuntu. But
Okay.
if you want to get a license for it, it's $35, and you have to pay through PayPal. And there were a
Okay.
lot of people who said, "Well, why do I have to pay $35 for you know for this operating system that is already out
It's already
and
out.
it's
That's
free?"
free. Yeah.
Right.
So why do I have to pay
And
35 for something that's free?
so a lot of the gurus who knew about Ubuntu went to the page, found a way around the payment, and got the operating system, for absolutely nothing. And there was some sort of security concerns about that, and that's what he put into his blog and his thing. It was very, very interesting. I was just looking at it, but and I
Okay.
was saying, well, Ubuntu is it seems like it's more developmental, like it's for research and development.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of the there is a language out there, it's called Python, and Python I've seen is used for there is um there are two integrated circuits. One is Raspberry Pi, which is the computer side, the brain, and then the other one, I can't think of the other one. Uh, was it Uno? No. Oh my God, I can't think of the. It's a developmental board that allows you to run
Mm-hmm.
motors and servos and LEDs. I cannot think of it right now. It's not Raspberry Pi. Raspberry Pi can integrate into it, and you can
Uh,
actually run like 3D. You can run like 3D printer motors with it.
oh
Arduino. Sorry, Arduino. That's what it's called.
yeah.
I
I was
couldn't think.
no, I was thinking it was Oreo, but it was like no, no, that's something
It has an
else.
O in it. There you go.
Said no,
Yeah, I got
no,
the
that's
O.
not it. I was like no. Said is Oreo? No, it's not
It's,
Oreo.
it's Arduino. Arduino. Because Raspberry Pi made something called the Pi Zero, and the Pi
Yeah.
Zero is as big as two postage, and I think it's like it's as big as two postage stamps, which are set like side by side. Very small board, extremely powerful, and
Mm-hmm.
this board is put into applications. Like there was a gentleman who created one of the original series, Star Trek tricorders. He put every single episode onto the tricorder that you can watch on the screen, and he did it through Raspberry Pi, and it has like a rechargeable battery and everything in it, but
Okay.
some of the things that he uses was Ubuntu. He said, "Oh well, I put Ubuntu on it," and so there is an operating system on it which runs a
Mm-hmm.
Windows emulator on Raspberry Pi, and then you could watch all the episodes of Star Trek through the little tricorder screen. which was really cool because it
That's
looked
pretty
like the
cool.
original series tricorder.
Yeah, that is pretty
Yeah.
cool.
So, but there's a lot of modelers out there doing, things like that with Ubuntu, with,
Mm-hmm.
you know, um, I, I believe back in the day I used Red Hat Linux. That was as far as I got into Linux. I never really got to Ubuntu.
Mm-hmm.
I started with Ubuntu in, I'm gonna say, when was that? 2000, I was gonna say 2005. I did a dual boot. I had a Dell gaming laptop, and I believe it had Windows 7. No, sorry. No, yeah, yeah. It was Windows 7,
Mm-hmm. Okay.
and then the dual boot was Ubuntu. And I was just experimenting with it. And a lot of guys said, "Oh, you should game with that. That's a great gaming, operating system." I was like, "I do not understand." He goes, "It's all line control, but I mean, dude, you could game with it." I'm like, "How do you game with it? Like, how do
Yeah.
you?" He goes, and my friend was like saying, "No, well, you have to use this Windows emulator." And I put the Windows emulator in, and something happened with the download, and
Mm-hmm.
all the games that I put into it were gone. Just they were all
Oh.
gone. The mounting point was lost. I lost pointers here, and then what that did was it screwed up the dual boot with Windows, so it actually screwed up Windows. So I was like dead in the water. Everything was gone. So
Mm.
I was like, yeah, I'm not gonna do this dual boot stuff anymore. I'm just gonna do Windows on one box, Ubuntu on another box. But
And yeah, no,
yeah,
I get that because I honest when it comes to Ubuntu, I dipped and dabbled in it the past oh since like 2015 ish,
yeah,
2015, 2016, just kind of dipping and dabbling into Ubuntu. But uh, before then, it was Linux, Red Hat Linux, and the one thing I hated was Unix. Hate Unix.
I
To
had
this
to take a
day,
class in Unix.
I still hate Unix. I li- I get I like Red Hat Linux, and I like Ubuntu, and but Unix, I hate Unix.
Yeah, Unix. I still have my I took a class at Intel and I still have my book, my like my worksheet on Unix
Mm-hmm.
and all the commands. And I was like, I it's it was just I don't know. My boss wanted me to do it at the time, and I was like, why do I have to learn this? He goes, well, he goes, yeah, but I have Red Hat Linux in my lab. I could just, I mean, I could load that thing up. It's free. I could load. It wasn't free. We actually had a license for it. But I could put that thing on there. It's got a GUI and everything. He goes, well, you have to
Yeah.
learn this, and then I was like, okay, so I think I passed the class, but barely. And I never used it. I never used it again in my
Right.
lifetime.
Right. Same here. It's like I know enough just to pass the class, and that was it.
It
After
was
that,
Yeah, it was like when I went to Chubb because I went to Chubb for for mainframe, and I was using VSE Power and JCL job control language and job entry control language, and I was like, well, like where the hell am I ever going to use this? It's like everybody's going into PCs now. Why am I going to use this?
mm-hmm.
And 5 years later, was the tape librarian for ADP, and I'm like, I got to use this again. I'm like, oh my God, like God just hates me. He's gonna put me into this, he's gonna put me into, like this mainframe hell that I'm in again. And I got to use, and I was using it for a while. I was like, I can't take this anymore. It is this archaic language. Yeah, but yeah, the Red Hat Linux was cool. I could there were certain things. I believe StarCraft could actually work on Red Hat Linux. You could load up StarCraft because StarCraft could load up with
Hmm.
NT. I remember.
Yeah,
So
yeah. The good thing about it is that although the trade-off in it, it is it's like it's very fast and very efficient. Problem is that sometimes the well with Unix there's no graphic interface with it, but with Red Hat Linux, it fixed that problem, and with Ubuntu and Ubuntu now with having more graphical, taking the time to actually make it a little bit more user friendly,
yeah,
and so yeah, it's
the
definitely come a long way.
the Ubuntu I found out was they actually took the background off of Windows 11 and they put it into the operating system.
Mm.
So when you put the background up, it looks like Windows 11. It's supposed to look like Windows 11. I'm like, wow, there's a copyright infringement right there. And
A little
then
bit,
there's
just a little bit.
just a tiny bit. But this guy's asking for $35, and he's like, oh, our team of experts is doing this, and our team of experts is doing that. I'm like, the guy Colonel who does the video, does the YouTuber, and he goes, I really don't think they have a team. I think it's just one guy saying, we have this team, and he's
It's
just like
possible.
soliciting $35 from people who don't know any better.
It's possible. It's possible. It could be just one guy, one guy
It,
sitting in a
it,
basement that just like,
it could be two guys. You never know.
yeah, yeah. If you told just sitting in the basement, just like, yeah, you know what? Let's charge. I mean, nobody's gonna know. And
It's kind.
besides,
It's kind of like when we get water from Poland Spring, and I'm like saying, and I said to my wife, sometimes I think it's just like this guy Murray in New York bottling this water in his basement and just putting the things on it and going, okay, it comes from this spring in Canada or wherever it comes from. And no, sorry, I'm in
it's like,
Maine. Sorry, yeah, I'm in
it,
Maine.
it's like it just comes from his tap. It just comes from the tap, and just like,
It comes from a
comes from the
tap. They
spring, so it
electrify
comes
it.
from
They put it into a bottle, and then
like
it
comes
comes from this secret spring in Maine.
right from the
Yeah. Yeah.
comes down from the falls of Canada as it washes through it to me. You're like, it's probably just some dude in his kitchen just. All right, that's good.
Looks clear to me.
All right,
Okay.
that's clear. Yep, we good on that one.
$20 a bottle. Here you go. Yeah.
But oh yeah, it sounds like you've been sharing in my frustration. Except yours is with Ubuntu, as mine was with a Java
Oh,
XML with
the app.
yep with the app. But the good thing is it's functioning. So that was my main concern, and so now it's just a matter of now just making it look pretty.
Okay.
So hey, now I can now focus on the iOS one,
Yeah,
which
the iOS one you actually have to jump through hoops with that one.
yeah,
So you're gonna have a lot of hoops to jump through because it is iOS. With
and
Android, you have more. I think you had more leeway
well,
with like third-party apps that are free, I believe.
well, yeah, it's able to integrate more like third-party plugins.
Right.
Um, it's able to communicate better with different apps and like social media apps um, and things like that. Uh, Definitely a lot easier to set up a well, not set up a shop, but definitely set up a gateway through to a shop. You know,
Hmm.
with the Android one. And so, from what I can see, is the Android ones you have a little bit more freedom, leeway. You're able to kind of customize it a little bit better than
Right.
than um, than the iOS. And I want everybody in the GCPR group chat to, I want you all, okay, I want you all to recognize and understand just how difficult of challenges that George and I have, and not only putting everything together and just making it better. I want everybody to realize just exactly the challenges that we are facing. Okay, yo, George over here literally building a server. And for anybody that doesn't know, okay, let me equate this with you're building a car from scratch. Okay, think of it like that. And George is doing he's dedicating his time and just for Jeff to keep saying you're fired. You know what, Jeff? No, you're fired. I'm just messing with you, Jeff. Love you, man. But and again, and with me now, I have to, well, I have to download a a Mac emulator,
Right.
then so I can then so I could try to find a Mac operating system that I could borrow, you know, online borrow, to be able to use the emulator, so I could get a different app to put together to put together the iOS app that goes into the App Store. And at least the good thing is that it's its own self-contained thing. It's not relied on on the server, so I don't have to have anything extra to put
Right.
on a server or anything like that. So it's its own self-contained thing. That's cool. But the problem is just getting everything set up to where I can get to that point.
Right.
And
So
I want
what,
everybody in
what
the group chat. I want everybody in the group chat that's listening. I want you all to realize that the efforts that we are going through and how badly that we are racking our brains and the little bit of hair that we have left, it is gone, or it's steadily turning grayer.
our sanity is leaking through our skulls, and that's pushing the hair out. That's why we lose the hair, and then we
Exactly.
lose our sanity on top of that.
Exactly.
So
So
yeah,
everybody in the
the
group chat. So I want you to
so
understand. I want you to understand. I want you to appreciate this, and I want you to thank us. I want
I
you to
want you to
thank
pay
us.
us. I want you to pay.
You can thank us by paying us.
You don't have to thank me. You have to pay me. No. Well,
But
now that
yeah,
they they have to pay you. They don't have to really pay me. I had this computer lying around. I was like, what am I going to do with it? And I'm like, it works on Windows 7. So I put Windows 7 on it. All right.
hmm,
There's no more security updates for Windows 7. I got that.
right.
But the um the server software works off of Winamp, it's called. So I put Winamp
Okay.
on.
All right.
Winamp allows you to take the settings. I have to take the encoder settings from Shoutcast and put those encoder settings into the box. Once we
Okay.
do that and it's all set up and it's online, we have a presence online, which means we can possibly use the Shoutcast app on the phone.
Mm-hmm.
And then in real time, once we have the server established and it authenticates to the Shoutcast, which also emulates to the Voscast that we're broadcasting on right now, then we can see analytics in real time. We could get that
Mm.
through Voscast. I know that, but
Right.
we can see how many people are listening to us, in what countries they're listening to us. We could see, all that data goes through Shoutcast, and
Mm-hmm.
that's what we would, do with a physical server. But to keep it up and running and, keep all the security things, I would probably need something that's like Core i7, Core i9. Um, oh, there was one thing I wanted to. I was reading about the 13th generation Intel processors.
Okay.
They
Yeah.
have a fault in them. I don't know if you
Okay.
read this. I was reading about it. There is a power regulation malfunction in the architecture of the motherboard and of the chip. It sends electrical signals to four modules within the chip to regulate power. Well, the instructions were, um, shall we say, fakakkled. And
That's a
since the
good word. I
fakakkled
like that.
instructions
I like that word. That's a
were
good word.
not, yeah, yeah, um, yeah, that's one of the technical terms I use. Um, since the instructions were fakakkled, and if you had one of the 13th generation chips in your computer, your laptop, or your desktop, and you were using it, all of a sudden your chip would just burn out because one of the instructions, um, the four transist or the four modules that hold the 1 million, or I think in this case 9 million transistors. I believe Core i7 is 7 million transistors, and then Core i9 is not. It's like nine cores. I forget what it is. 3 cores or 9 cores. I think it's 9 cores. But anyway, the cores themselves are made up of millions of transistors. Okay. And the power regulation that was going to them, the instructions were screwed up in such a way that one of the modules was getting like 19 volts and the other modules were only getting 2 volts. So if you were running the computer for a long time, like a gaming computer, or
Mm-hmm.
just running it for like a very long time, excuse me, the chip would just burn out. It would just like get so hot it would burn out, and it wouldn't it wouldn't evenly distribute the power to those modules, so that the chip could run at its peak, I guess. Uh, um,
As like
at
at his optimized optimal speed, I guess, or what?
Yeah, at its optimal speed, it would run too fast, and then it would just burn itself out, and you'd
Mm.
have a big door. You'd have like a big door stop basically, on your desk. And so Intel wrote a code that you could it was on an update for um, the BIOS flash, like utility. You could reflash the BIOS, and this
Mm-hmm.
code would go in, and it would basically fix the instructions that were sent to the chip.
Okay.
So, um, but they did it a little bit too late. They didn't know, exactly that this was happening, and yeah, so there were a lot of people who had computers, and like they basically lost all their data. They lost everything that they were doing. So yeah. So yeah, that it
Yeah.
was the 13th generation, Intel processors.
No,
Um,
I did. I didn't know that. I did. I missed that article.
yeah,
But
I and I try to peruse everything. I try to read everything. It's tough. It's tough to
I
just like read
try.
everything.
I try, but there's a lot of things I just don't get to.
Yeah,
No, but yeah, that's definitely good to know. So for anybody that's listening out there, then
trying to
y-
see what I have here. I have a Core i7. Oh, I have a seventh generation. Okay, that's good. I have a really old, I have a really old PC because I'm a really old guy. So thank God for that. Thank God I didn't have the 13th generation PC.
well, I know I have three of them that are seventh generation, and this one that I'm on. Oh, I got this one. I got the one that I'm on that right now. Um, I got this one for free. It's a i5 core i5 is old, old, but it's just runs just good enough to where I could be able to stream everything, use the apps, all the other stuff like that. And so it worked out great because now I have this one machine here dedicated to where I could do that, and leaves free my other ones to where you know I could just set them to do what I want them to do, and then just let it go.
Yeah, I mean, you need, what is it? Well, you need some like for 3D printing, right? Use some for 3D printing
Yeah.
or,
Well, see, I have two that I use for animating,
oh,
and one that I use to set up for 3D printing. And so
cool.
that's that's what I do. And then, but again, I'm having to go through all these hoops for this iOS app, man. And you going through everything for this
Ubuntu.
Ubuntu server.
Well, I
So
abandoned the Ubuntu project. I went back to Windows because I know Windows. So I'm just on Windows 7 right now. Now, now, now it's just it, it's a love-hate relationship. I love it that it's Windows, but now I still hate it that the encoder settings are not really working the way I want them to work. And
right,
there,
yeah.
there, there is no instruction on the website. I basically have to go to Google or I have to go to YouTube and I have to say, okay, somebody somewhere created an audio server. How did they do it? How did they take this information and put it here so that everything works? And that's what I'm trying to find. That's what I'm struggling with. And
Yeah,
it's going to be,
I get
it's going to
that.
be the thing that this server, if we do this and the app works and
Mm-hmm.
your app works, your app has to authenticate to something. It possibly has to authenticate to a server, like the app has
Mm-hmm.
to go back somewhere and say, well, wait a minute, what am I looking at here? Okay, the app has to go back to a particular server. Either the server is going to be on your end, on your you know, uh, on your local network going out to the internet, or it's going to be
Mm-hmm.
on my end running 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. And then, that's how we stay on. That's how we expand, GCPR's reach. Now, GCPR's reach goes to Voscast. Voscast is broadcast all over the world. We don't know that because
Mm-hmm.
we
Because you can't.
because
We don't really have like a thing or some kind of metric or something
right,
that
right,
shows us in real time. You
right,
know
exactly.
that we have
And
our
and
listeners in
and
Romania. We have our listeners in South America. We have a listener in Australia. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
Yeah, and
so yeah,
it you know it has to authenticate to something, you know. So the two
yeah,
schools of thought are a physical server that we could keep control of, or a virtual server that we pay for every month, and it would be a separate service. And we don't want to have another. You know what? It's going to be six of one, half a dozen, of another. It's
right,
either going to
right.
be, we have to pay for the internet and pay for the server, the upkeep of the server.
Hmm.
I'll start it. I don't care. I mean, but I just want it to work. If it works, it's great. And then I guess as we get advertising dollars, we could take those advertising dollars and say, okay, George and Gilbert, or T Nathan or whatever, whoever
Hmm.
has the fastest hookup or the fastest internet, you can run the server. You know,
Right, right.
or maybe all of us can run the server. I don't know, but I don't know. It depends on.
Well, it wouldn't be a bad idea for all of us to be able to to run servers like that, because then it would just be if I had a power outage, then
Right.
um, you and T Nathan would be able to. You had a power outage, then T Nathan and I would, or T Nathan had a power outage, and both of us would be able to. And so
Well,
it wouldn't be that bad of an idea.
yeah,
And it's
I mean, T. Nathan can take control of NORAD, and he's got the speed for it. So,
right,
I mean, he would be like, he'd be like server number one. We'd be like
right,
server number two and three. We'd be kind of like the backups to his. So,
yeah. And so I mean,
but
and then
then,
plus the fact he's got a new setup now too. So is
oh yeah, he's got the Bruce Wayne set up there. He's like,
yeah, absolutely. He's going full Batman.
I,
He's
I
going
call him Batman, and he goes, no, George, please, you please don't call me Batman. I was like, no, you're Batman. You're with it. You're turning into Batman. You have to have the Batmobile, you know. So
yeah, he's got the setup, and he's and everything. Yeah.
yeah. So um, switching from Ubuntu to games, have you played any computer games lately?
Oh man, don't I'm still stuck on a Skyrim.
I still stick on
Yeah,
Skyrim.
yeah. There's one. I keep seeing one. Because there's uh, some mutuals of mine on TikTok. Demi Fallen is part of the guild, and he sends me game clips. And there's the new Tomb Raider. Well, I won't say new, but it was. I think it's like 2, 3 years old now. But
Okay.
definitely, I want to look at that one. I definitely want to check that one out. And I know there was a new release of Fable. Fable, that's one of my all-time favorite games. So I'm gonna check that one out too. So yeah.
Okay.
But
Yeah, I've been
what
looking
about
at
yourself?
I downloaded Arkham Knight
Oh,
from Steam
okay.
for $4. $60 game for $4. They had a sale because Steam usually has a sale, and this game is kicking my ass. Oh, excuse me. Excuse my language. It's a really good game, I have to
Hmm.
say. You get to play Batman.
Okay.
Um, the Joker is dead, of course, in this rendition. So the Joker is dead, but he's basically in your head. So when you
Okay.
move from mission to mission, the Joker's like sitting on like a park bench, or he's sitting someplace, and he's kind of like he's taunting you.
Okay.
And but Joker is dead. I believe Harley Quinn is still alive. Scarecrow uh, is going to release some sort of like a fear toxin in Gotham City, and you have different missions that you can go on, and you can use the weapons that Batman has,
Hmm.
depending on depending on how you fight, um, how you can use the Batmobile, how you use, certain things in the game, you get upgrade points to upgrade the Batmobile. You can upgrade, all the weapons that you have. Um, you can upgrade, well, you upgrade your combat skills and stuff like that. So it's a whole it's a whole thing. So, you have to rescue certain people, you have to fight certain people, but you have to like, you
Okay.
know, beat the
But
hell out of people.
yeah,
I tell I
because I
tell
mean
my
that's all
wife,
the
I'm
way to
like
put it. Yeah,
like
I
like
guess. But
I tell my wife, I'm like, you know what? I have to go relieve some stress. She goes, are you gonna go beat the hell out of people? Yep, I'm gonna go beat the hell out of people right now. And I go on Batman. I go on Arkham Knight. I beat that, and you hear boom, 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 ah, and all this other stuff. You
yeah,
can throw batarangs and stuff like that, and it's just, yeah, it's like you just beat the hell out of
yeah.
people for $4. I mean, the game is great. So, um,
Right.
the,
But I'll tell you this: one of the best places to go to buy games because they have sales all the time. It's a site that's called CD Keys. CDKEYES. CDkeys.com.
CDC. Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm. And usually they have sales that go anywhere from like half off to like 90% off.
Oh,
So needless to say, you'll get like just sales like that, like a $60 game for like $4.
right.
That's almost like an everyday type of thing with them.
Yeah, that's what happened with Steam because Steam was
Mm-hmm.
overcharging and there was some sort of a lawsuit. So many of their Steam games that are like $60,
And now gone
on
down
like Black
to yeah,
Friday, they're like $3, $2, $3. Some are in the $10, some are in like the $10 range. If it's a new release, I mean,
yeah.
I play mostly games that are kind of like survival. Like I have something called Occupy Mars, where you land on
Mm-hmm.
Mars, you're like the sole inhabitant of Mars, and you basically have to build a base for, everybody. So
Right.
it's
Okay.
kind of like that. I
Yeah.
mean, those are the games I like. And when people go, it's so boring, it's so boring. I was like, to me, it's not that boring.
Well,
It's more like discovery. It's
yeah. Well, not only that, it's like you got to have a strategy going in it as well because
right,
it's like it's not like you can just oh well, I'm gonna go off into this cave here and no, you just can't do that. First you gotta get certain things prepped first before you could go into the cave that you want to
right,
so yeah.
right. Yeah, you need oxygen, you need water, you need power. You have solar
Hmm.
cells, and
Yeah.
then at a certain point, by searching different bases in the game, um, you can acquire blueprints. And when you acquire blueprints, the blueprints allow you to modify your base. So now I'm up to um, a um, I'm up to a point in the game where I can make it's a nuclear pile basically. So
Okay.
I go into this cave, I can get the uranium rocks, I put them into the sifter, it basically breaks them down, and the sifter sifts all the uranium out of it, and I can create like these fuel rods, and the fuel rods I can, you know, I can take iron from rocks, I can extract iron, all this other stuff, and I can, create the basic building blocks to make this nuclear, power station, and I can power all my stuff with it. Um, you know, but you get a rover um in any of the games that you play or any of the modules that you play, if you play like the hardest or if you play the easiest or whatever, you get like a rover. It runs on electric charge. It has an oxygen extension, box that you can create so you can actually sleep in the rover because you have to sleep because your suit basically tells
Okay.
you at a certain point you
That you have
well you
to, you
yeah
basically,
you
you
like
have to sleep, or you have to get some kind of rest, or you have to,
yeah you have to get
yeah.
some type of rest because your stamina you have to increase your stamina so you have to drink, you have to have water, you have to be
Hmm.
hydrated, um you have to eat. Okay, so from the other
Hmm.
bases, you will find, like potatoes, you'll find, like potato seeds. So you have to build a greenhouse. You have to
Hmm.
build um, an incubator for seeds. You have to take those potato seeds and actually grow potatoes. You put it into the food processor. The food processor processes it, and then you have like, depending on how many potatoes you grew, you have like uh I think at one time I made like 50 bags of food. So I take that, I put that in my inventory. So I can eat, I can drink, I can produce oxygen from an oxygenator to replenish my oxygen for my suit. And then if you're if you're out in the middle of nowhere and you have your rover, you can sleep because your suit will say, well, you need to get
Hmm.
some rest. You'll see like these little red Z's come up in your, in like your head up display, and that you gotta rest, dude. You have to
So
take some
yeah, you
sleep.
need, you need.
So there's a little timer, and the timer will say, well, you can sleep for 24 hours, but you don't have enough, oxygen or food or water to do that. So I usually sleep for 8 hours, and that gets me, good until the next day. But there are certain things in the game. There's like sandstorms. There's meteor showers. You have to build an
Mhm.
anti-meteorite system, which are it's like these little missiles that actually like
Okay.
destroy the meteorite before it can actually hit your base. So you have to create those, a defensive strategy for your base. If your base gets hit by a meteorite, you have to go on the outside and you have to find out where gas is leaking. So you would actually go out and you would inspect the outside
Hmm.
of your base and you go, oh, there's like gas leaking, and you see it like hissing out, and then you have to get a blowtorch and you basically have to fix it. Because if you don't
Okay.
fix it, it gets bigger, and then there's a
Right.
little there's a
Yeah.
little circle. The circle gets bigger, and then all of a sudden the thing just blows up. So yeah, those are games that I like to play. I know I'm weird, but
Yeah.
you know,
We've come a long way from Pong.
I'm a nerd.
We've come a long way from Pong. I mean,
Yeah,
and here's the thing, and like I said, my game of choice, my default choice is Skyrim. You know,
Skyrim.
it used to be Legend of Zelda until Skyrim came out. Because I don't know, for whatever reason, when I watch TV, I like watching sci-fi, but when it comes to fantasy, video games, it's just that. So, with kind of piggybacking off of that whole, you have to have, you have to go to this to do this to get that, and then set everything up. It's same thing with Skyrim. It is a pain in the ass.
It sounds like Diablo. You never
It's
played
fun.
Diablo?
Oh yeah, Diablo and Diablo 2. I haven't played Diablo 3,
Oh,
but yeah, this sort of like the same thing with Diablo. You know, you had to, in order for you to go to this place or fight this enemy, you gotta get this weapon. And so
right.
yes, the same thing, except with Skyrim, it is a lot more detailed. Sort of like the same instance of uh, of that game. Yeah, you have to. There's so many missions to where you have to fight vampires, or you have to go into a dwarven ruin look for a word wall so you can get a shout, so you can beat a dragon, so you can beat beat this dragon priest. So yeah, as fun as it is time consuming and can definitely frustrate you without a shadow of doubt.
Batman now it's becoming, the Arkham Knight is becoming extremely time consuming. I've played from 9 o'clock in the morning to like 5 o'clock in the morning, or sometimes when the sun comes up, and I'm like, oh, the sun came up. I think I have to go to bed. But
Right.
I'm looking at it like, because back in the day, I think we used to play we used to play Counter Strike, and we used to play Half-Life 2 Deathmatch. And
Yeah.
Steve Warnick had a server at his house. So we had the Florida server, or we had the server that he had in New Jersey. So we had two servers to play on. And when he was in
Okay.
Florida, he would go, "Hey, you want to join me on Half-Life 2 Deathmatch?" It's like, it's 2 o'clock in the morning, Steve. I don't care. Okay, I don't care either. Let's go. And we played till like 8 o'clock in the morning, 9 o'clock in the morning. I'd be playing, but Half-Life 2 Deathmatch. I mean, I always
Oh,
liked the
I loved Half Life. I loved Half Life and Half Life Two. Those are two great
I
games.
I did I went to one of the Comic Cons. It wasn't the official Comic Con, but I went to a convention, a Star Trek convention, and somebody did a Half-Life 2 Deathmatch cosplay, and they had the crossbow with the
Mm.
rebar in it, but the
Oh,
rebar was like glowing. It glowed like that. I was like, dude, how did you do that? I was like, that is an excellent. He goes, oh, I did this. And what he did was he basically just took a lucite rod,
okay.
and he kind of melted it, kind of, he took a blowtorch to it and kind of
Mm-hmm.
made it into kind of like rebar, and then he put like some little burn marks on it, but he actually, hollowed it out. It was a tube, and he put
Okay.
lights in. He put LED lights in it. It was really cool. I was like, I love that weapon. I just always loved the
Yeah.
peg guys in the head with that weapon. That was a good headshot weapon.
So a little
So
bit
yeah.
jealous. A little bit jealous. So, not gonna lie, just a little bit jealous, but yeah. So
So all right. So
uh,
Skyrim
that
is your guilty pleasure.
that's my guilty pleasure. That and also the Lego games. I don't know why I do love I like the Lego games. They're just
Really? Oh,
no
cool.
they're just fun. They're just like just little games that just fun. The have the little bit of action. The little bit of puzzles, the little bit of kind of this, and the main thing what I like is just the humor of it. Because why not? That's just always
Is it like Batman Lego, or what
oh
is it?
all of them. The Batman Lego, those are all
Oh,
fun. The Marvel Heroes, those are fun. The Star Wars, all those are all fun. You know, like I said though, my
yeah.
go-to guilty pleasure is always Skyrim, and so yeah, there is one quest that I'll get into. Hey, we're coming close to the top of the hour. Let me reset this real quick before I get into the Skyrim story. So we are here on the GCPR live radio station. I am the Angry IT Nerd. I am here with Techno George, and we are here, and this is the Help Desk. And right now we are talking games, and I'm talking about my favorite slash guilty pleasure slash default game, Skyrim, and the one mission that I hate, and everybody else that plays Skyrim that they all hate as well, is no stone unturned. And everybody that plays Skyrim, we know that mission, and that mission is to find all of the stones of Baron Zaya, which there are 24 of them, spread all throughout Skyrim, and the entirety of that game, it is so massive. It will literally take you weeks, months to find all of them. So, I've completed this quest twice. It has taken months on end to complete this quest. The amount of time that it takes in order to do it costs you so much money. There's so many boss battles, so many things that you have to do, and you have to buy houses in order to get some of them. You have to sneak in. You got to sneak into people's bedrooms. You got to go into caves. It is a whole. As fun as it is, there's a whole lot of just BS that comes along with it. It's fun. It's fun, but yeah, it definitely it's that is the most time consuming mission ever.
It kind of sounds like Thief. Did you ever play Thief?
No, I haven't.
It
I haven't.
Thief has it's a first person shooter. Um, I would assume it's like Skyrim, but it has missions you have to go on. You have to steal certain things for certain people, and you have um you basically have like a bow and arrow, and you
Okay.
have a water arrow. So the water arrow has kind of like um it has like a leather parchment of water on the tip, but you can use it to put out um certain torches that are lighting up like a guard position. And
Okay.
so I saw this one torch. And I'm like, oh, I can I'm gonna, I could put out the torch. I could sneak by the
Mm-hmm.
guards who are there. I found out that the torch was actually inside this glass thing, but you can't see that from the position where it was. So I fired the arrow. It hit, it hit the thing. It smashed the glass, but never put out the fire inside. But when the glass broke, the guards are like, he's over there. And then the next scene, you see me getting my head chopped off. And I'm like, okay, that one didn't work. Let's go back. And then, but Thief has it has kind of like a light meter on it.
Okay.
And, the light meter shows you when you are concealed in total darkness. Like if it's black, it's okay. If it's gray, you're in a gray area where you could possibly be spotted, but maybe you're not spotted. And then if it's white, it means that you're totally, seen. You can be seen by anybody. And that's what it has with like the light meter. With
Okay.
the arrows, depending on your stamina, you pull the bow back, and all of a sudden you're like weaving and weaving and weaving, and all of a sudden you go, like this. You have to fire the arrow. If you don't fire the arrow,
The Yeah,
yeah. But I mean, you can't. You
but
like
the
you
thing
like
is that
you can't
you
let it
can't steady
you
it.
can't let it go and like not fire the arrow. You already committed yourself to firing the arrow. So
Yeah,
I'm
so it's
like,
going to
so
fire regardless.
it's gonna
But
fire
the
regardless. And I'm like, oh my god, this is such a pain in the ass. This
but the
game
problem
is
is
such a pain.
but the
Um,
problem is keeping it steady.
yeah, keeping it steady. So it's like, yeah, okay.
No, I get that because it reminds me of one of the Metal Gear Solid games, in
Oh
which
yeah, yeah, that's right. That's
yeah,
right.
because when you get to a point when you start aiming, then yeah, unless you take a diazepam, that it is just going all over the place, just shaking and shaking, shaking, and it only gets worse. Fortunately, you can sheath your weapon and then you know go back and do it again.
Uh,
But the thing is that if you do it the second time, the shaking it gets faster and faster and faster each time.
oh, okay. So I mean, it gets progressively worse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So your best bet is to try to get it done within that first couple of seconds when you do it the very first time.
Yeah,
Otherwise,
I
the shaking gets too bad to where the only thing you can do is just like, well, let me just let it go and hope and hope it hits.
so
That's about it.
I think I sent you the trailer for it. It's a first person shooter, but you could play one of five positions. It's Starship Troopers
Yes,
Annihilation,
yeah, you did
where
on.
you could play the sniper, the
Mm-hmm.
engineer, the ranger, the medic, and that's kind of like Team Fortress 2. That's my guilty pleasure is Team Fortress 2. I will never get rid of Team Fortress 2 because it's just fun. It's just fun to be on those servers. Those characters are really funny. And but there's certain characters that I like to play. I like to play engineer. I like to play the demo man, guy with, like the grenades.
Right.
But yeah, the Starship Troopers Annihilation. I think the first one they came out with was called Starship Troopers Turn Command. So Turn Command was basically like Command and Conquer. You have
Okay.
a contingent of soldiers. You have to move them from like this position, to this position. You have a certain mission to capture a certain base or whatever that's in command of the bugs, and and then sometimes you have to have like like this person has to survive, so you have to you know and the thing I always hated in Command and Conquer was the person has to survive, but the person always lags behind. So you basically have to sacrifice, 20 guys to save this one stupid little engineer who's going to take this base. And then once he gets to the base, he gets shot or he gets attacked by a dog and mauled to death. And then you have to do it all over again. You got to do this stupid mission. I'm like, so that's basically like with Turn Command. What they did was they kind of did a PvP or like a a first person shooter, and I had seen this on YouTube on the game, on the gaming thing. I also saw it on Twitch where people were playing advanced copies of the game, and I was like, this is really cool. I was like, they actually put you on the front line, so it's like your view. If you're the engineer, you have to keep the walls, up. You have to keep
Okay.
um, supply. I would assume that you have to supply ammunition to people. You have to. The engineer can build this flamethrower turret. He can also build the anti-aircraft gun towers. The anti-aircraft gun towers have to be fixed all the time, so he has to run from position to position to basically, keep the entire thing going, you know. Then you got the medic, the guy, the medic kind of reminds me of the medic in Halo, where if a guy, if a guy goes down, you have this little gun, and you basically, it's like a defibrillator, and you basically just shock him until he comes alive again, and then
Okay.
you have to stay there with him until he gets up to 100 health, so he can help the team. And I'm like, it's also the same thing like in Team Fortress 2. You play the medic, you know, and you're trying to heal all these guys, but the guys are not, like it's funny because like a lot of people want to go for the glory. They don't care if the medic is healing them. Like they won't protect their medic. And I'm like going, guys, if you protect the medic, guess what? We get
But guess
farther in
what?
the
You
game
get
instead of me respawning at the spawn point, running halfway across the map to heal your ass, and then all of a sudden you're not going to protect me and I'm going to die. And I was like, what is with you guys? You've
you
got to
protect
protect the medic.
you protect your medic, you could get the victory.
Yeah,
Protect.
like, you know,
I mean,
it,
it makes sense. 'Cause, like you protect your medic, you can stay alive so you can get to the end.
they just don't do it. They don't care. I'm like, if this was a real war situation, we'd all be dead. I mean, sometimes you get good,
Hilarious.
sometimes you get good players on there. You get good players, and certain players I make, I put them in my friends list so that I could play with that person again. And I say, you were really good. You protected me. Thank you. All this other stuff. And they say, okay, great. Add me to your friends list. I add them to my Steam friends list.
Okay.
And whatever game they're playing, if I have that game, I can go in and I can help them. But if it's, there's just these guys who just don't care. They're just out for themselves. You
And
know,
it's like,
you know.
eh,
I
it'd
mean,
be all right.
they
That's
could
sort of
get
like
an
their whole thing.
assist.
Yeah.
Yeah, like they can get an assist point or something like that. And the one guy was trying to get this, and he was trying to get this weapon for the longest time in the game. And I said, look, what is the weapon? He goes, well, the weapon is this. I said, I tell you what, if you guard me this entire game, 'cause I'm just going to play medic this entire game, I will make the weapon for you. He goes, I said, I have enough resources to make the stupid weapon. I will just give you the weapon. And he goes, oh, so I'm, I go into my inventory and and I've been playing the game now I think since 2003 or four. I think since 2003 I've been playing it, and I'm still playing it, and I've accumulated a lot, a lot of junk. And this guy goes, I don't know. I go, what's the weapon? He goes, oh, it's this, it's this, it's this weapon, it was it was for the soldier. The soldier
Hmm.
has like these bazookas, and it was a special bazooka. And I said, let me go into my thing. Let me see if I have it. So I had it. I had five of them. I was like, here, you want all five? I'll give you all five. I don't care. It's like going, I got 20. I got like 20 of these things. He goes, you got 20 of these things. How long have you been playing? I've been playing since 2003, dude. I got it all. Oh my God, it's wonderful. What else do you have? I got all this, I outfitted this guy. He got it all. He was all happy and everything. And then, he goes, oh, okay. I'm going to take care of you the rest of the game. Okay, that's all I ask. So we can win.
Yeah.
I just want to win. People just don't care. They just.
No,
Uh,
just simply because it's like just like
it,
how you said, it's only thing they just want is just trying to get that victory.
but
But they don't see is that
it's called
the best.
Team Fortress, not Me Fortress. If it was Me Fortress, I could see you could be out for yourself, or
Right,
It's
right. But
team.
it's like, but to them, it's like they it's like there is a saying, there's no I in team, but you know what? They don't look at it like that. They say without me, there is no team. So that's how they look at it.
I don't get it, man. This is some.
But hey,
I know.
I guess that's just how some people play the game when they play.
Yeah. it, it, like when you're, like when you're on a quest for Skyrim, does it ever have like, like, um, if you're playing a particular level and you die on that level, do you have to do it all over again? Is it one of those, or can you save it? Can you
You
like
can
save it
save.
halfway through,
Oh yeah, yeah. See
or
what it
save it at
does.
certain spots?
Oh yeah. See, it'll auto save at,
Okay.
like, if you go into uh, a different part of a dungeon, or a different part of a loading screen or something like that. It'll auto save. You
Oh,
know, um, and you can also manually save at different spots. And if you die, it'll just go right back at that same save spot. You know,
okay, cool. Oh,
so you
yeah,
don't have
that's
to
cool.
start all the way over. It'll just start at that same save spot. You know, you just have to make sure that you don't die the next time. Otherwise, it's just gonna keep going back to that same spot.
I see. See the thing with Arkham Knight is you have like um if you're committed to the mission and you went and you beat up all these guys but got shot by the last guy, you have to do it all over again. And I'm like, oh, I gotta do that all over again. Are you kidding me? I'm
Oh,
like, and,
that is a
and
pain. That
the
is a
funny
pain.
thing is, my my wife's in the other room. She's sleeping. She goes, I hear you going, son of a bitch, my motherfucking man. What the motherfucking and then it's so funny to hear her complain about me. And I'm like, but I did this and
But
I did that and I got all these upgrades and he still got shot. Why did Batman still get shot? He's, his armor is supposed to be this. And certain things you can choose because you've done certain missions, and other
right.
things you can't choose. Like you can't, like I upgraded the armor up to 25%, but that's
Hmm.
it. I can't get to the next level without, destroying certain checkpoints in the game.
Right.
And I'm like, I can't get to this checkpoint because every time I try to glide into the checkpoint, the automated
Hmm.
sentry guns like they zero on you and they kill you. I'm like, so
Right.
wait a minute, I have to get rid of the sentry gun, but how do I get rid of the sentry gun? Well, there's a sentry controller. It's sitting right in the middle of the checkpoint and it's guarded by all these guys. And I'm like, well, how am I supposed to do that? And like, I have to beat up everybody, get to the stupid computer, blow up the
Hmm.
computer, and then it blows up the guns. I'm like, okay. Why not just use the Batmobile with its big, because it can turn into a tank. It has a 40 millimeter Vulcan cannon,
Okay.
and it also has a 60 millimeter gun on it. Why not just use that to blow up the sentry guns? You would think that that would work. It
Right.
doesn't work. So
Said
I'm like,
how? How?
okay. I'm like,
Explain the physics
I'm
of
an
that to me.
engineer. I could figure it out. Come on.
Like, explain the physics of that to me. 'Cause-
I'm
but
my 60 millimeter cannon that I can blow up all these remote control, these like remote control tanks with,
hmm.
and I could use 40 millimeter guns to get rid of the missiles that they fire at me on the street. But I
Right.
can't blow up, and I could blow up I could blow up the sentry. There are sentry, drones. They have machine guns on them too, and they're flying around, like they circle around certain buildings. You could destroy those, but you
Right.
can't destroy the sentry guns on top of the building. And I was like, if I could only do that, then I would just fly in, just beat up everybody, and then, concentrate on that. But
Yeah.
yeah, because if you get too high, like if you get too high on the building, the sentry gun just turns and starts shooting at you. And I'm like, okay, so yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I'm like, yeah, I think I need. So, sometimes I go to like a different mission and I'll try to upgrade my points so I get more armor on there. And but
Yeah.
yeah,
Makes sense. It makes sense. I
not
know.
not yeah, not in this.
Yeah. I would say
I was looking.
one game that's on my list of ones eventually I'm going to get to is Cyberpunk 2077.
What's it called?
Cyberpunk
Oh,
20
Cyberpunk.
yeah 2077. So I have a friend of mine that he played it and he was telling me about it, and essentially it's sort of well, it's big open area RPGs, like sort of like Skyrim or like Elden Rings or like Fable.
Hmm.
Essentially where you create your character, build them up, go on missions and everything like that. But it's almost like a Grand Theft Auto is more accurate form
Oh,
of it. Yeah, it's more like
okay.
Grand Theft Auto, except it's in in the future. It's sort of in the future, but
It's kind of.
it's
Oh,
um. I wouldn't say it's like 31st century in the future or anything like that. It's
Johnny Mnemonic
right.
type
Yeah,
future, like
yeah,
90s future.
like like the '90s future. Yes, when Johnny Mnemonic. And so
Yeah.
yeah, and essentially it's like that. Yeah, it's a pretty fun game. I've seen gameplay of it and YouTube videos and trailers, and so yeah, that's one on my list to play. Um,
Yeah, I had a couple on my Steam
yeah.
list because I play a lot of Steam games. Steam has actually been taking the older games that we used to play in the 80s and the 90s
Mm-hmm.
and actually putting them for set. They've actually converted them into Steam games that you can buy. So, some of the ones I play are there's World of Warships, there's World of Tanks. Um, World of Warships is actually I played the first one. Now they came out with submarines where you can actually
Okay.
get submarines to destroy surface contacts. Um, but the 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 other games I have on my wish list, I have Homeworld 3. I don't know if you've ever played Homeworld. It's a strategy game, kind of like Command and Conquer,
Okay.
but it's set. I believe it's set in I don't know if it's Earth. I don't think it is Earth. It's a it was like two warring factions. One faction is more like a religious faction called the Vagar, and then I think the other faction, I forget what the other faction is, but their their starships are vastly different, than each other. Their fighting styles and their ships are way different, like the designs of them. So there's something called Homeworld, the deserts of Karak, and Karak is a planet uh, you where they were searching for the origins of their species on the planet, and there were two warring factions there. So you basically build like sentry guns to protect your base. You build, harvesters to harvest the crystals, like the mining crystals and stuff like that, like for weapons and everything. And then you basically, and then you have a mothership. Well, you have a mothership, but it's kind of like the one, well, the ones that the one faction has looks like a giant aircraft carrier. It looks like an aircraft carrier with giant treads on it. It kind of looks like a sand crawler from Star Wars,
Okay.
but you can upgrade the defenses of the carrier, upgrade the shielding, upgrade, you can actually create an air wing to protect your carrier.
Cool.
Um, you can create like these rail guns. They have mobile railgun tanks. You can get up to the railgun tank. So you have research, and then you so you could build basic things like build basic harvesters to go and harvest stuff, and then you have a research module. You get a research module. You can research. Then you have like an advanced research module. Advanced research module actually um, upgrades tanks in the field. So you don't have to really, create those tanks again and then send them out
Mm.
there. Once those
Okay.
tanks are in the field, you can actually send them those upgrades, and they get those upgrades like immediately after you've upgraded it on your mothership. It's done. and I'm like, oh, this is really cool. But
That is cool.
so so yeah, so there's one called, the Deserts of Karak, and then the other one is Homeworld. But I believe Homeworld 3 is coming out. I think it's first quarter of 2024. That should be September, October. I th
Like
First quarter.
first
Let's
quarter,
see. No,
first
first
quarter.
quarter of no.
No,
Wait,
usually first quarter is in January.
Sorry, January,
Yeah.
2025. Sorry,
Okay.
sorry.
Okay. I was
Um,
about to say. It's like.
I'm like, I know. I'm thinking about another game. No, I'm thinking about another game that's coming out in. Uh, there's something called Deliver Us Mars, which is actually available on Steam now. So they've been doing a lot of like different Mars, type of games. Um, Another one I've been looking that I do. I have the first one and I have the second one of, is Subnautica. It's called. I don't know if you've ever played that. That's kind of like
Mm-mm.
a
No, I haven't played that one.
Subnautica is kind of like a it's a first person shooter, but not really a shooter. It's more of a survival type game. You
Okay.
crash land on this planet, and the planet is like a giant ocean, and you basically have to dive down, and you have to mine certain minerals to bring back to your 3D printer to create, tools, like more tools you can do. So one of the
Okay.
tools that you can do is you can create a 3D printing platform that sits in the ocean, and it actually makes like little
Oh.
submarines for you. So you can make like a submarine. You can make a larger submarine,
Okay.
you know, but you can explore the oceans of the planet. And like the deeper you go, the more
The more
the
resources and
more
minerals
risk
and
you
stuff you
take,
find.
right? So there's something called, there are leviathans. There are like giant, creatures that live in the deeper water. Um, there's,
Okay.
there's that, and you get this suit. It's a kind of like a suit you can use,
Mm-hmm.
like an underwater suit, and you get the underwater suit. You get certain upgrades for the suit, and then you can dive down even deeper. You can go to like a volcanic region
Oh.
of the planet,
Okay.
and you can create like a volcanic energy collector that'll collect hot water, gases, or whatever, and actually power certain bases like for breathing and stuff like that. And you collect those resources.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there is a story attached to it where you're infected by the water. The water has some sort of an infection, and you have an infection. So the
Okay. Yeah.
there is an alien ship that's on the planet. It will not let you leave the planet until you are not infected anymore, until you found the antidote. So you have to find this alien race. You have to dive so deep down to like almost like the core of the planet
Oh
to get
man.
to these different areas, to find these plants, put them together, create the antidote, go back to the alien ship inside the alien ship's core, and then it has this like this little tentacle that basically injects you, and then it says, okay, you're with your with you're clean of the infection, you can leave the planet, and then you have to build a spaceship to leave the planet. So it's weird. It's a weird type of game, but yeah. So
Okay. All right.
yeah. So
Well, sounds interesting. Sounds interesting enough to play.
yeah, it's kind of
Uh,
interesting. It's
and I know another one
I'm
that's on my list is Elden Ring.
oh yeah, Elden
Yeah.
Ring. Oh.
Yeah, I definitely want to play that because, because again, it fits through my whole g- fantasy gaming, and so yeah, and I see I see trailers of it, and I've seen gameplay videos of it, and for the longest, I, longest on Twitch, I would just you know, stalk people's channels that was playing Elden Ring, and just looking at it and just the detail of it and the graphics, and it was just top notch stuff, man. And
Yeah.
so it definitely reminded me of a lot of the um, animations and 3D modeling and stuff like that. But mine aren't as advanced and not as articulate and coordinated as those. But
Hmm. Have you ever
but
played EverQuest?
I mean, Evercrack.
EverQuest?
when
EverQuest?
when
EverCrack?
here's
EverCrack. Yeah.
when when that game first came out, I was working at EB Games at the time,
Oh, wow.
and so yeah, it was a long time ago. So yeah, when this game first came out, didn't think anything of it because during that time, that was new games were coming out. Every week, sometimes well, every month, depending on when it got closer to Christmas, then it would be every week.
Hmm.
This particular one, EverQuest came out, so I didn't think anything of it. Then a week later, it's still just go people just buying it, buying it, buying it, buying it, buying it. Then one of the managers, he bought it, and he was playing through it, and that's when he came up with a term. He called it Evercrack. He was like,
It's
he was
like
like,
that. It's
because he was like,
yeah.
because as soon as you start playing, is that you can't stop. And he said the only thing, he said the only reason that he stopped playing was because he had to come into work. Otherwise, if he didn't have to come into work, that he'd be playing that game. And so
I never really played it. I never played it. I had a friend who played it,
I've never played it
and
either, but but apparently
um, and
that's
he was hooked. He was hooked.
yeah,
I was like, dude, what is it about this game? He goes, it's so good. It blah 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 blah. We go on these quests, and you got this other thing. He goes, I got this. He goes, I got this new module, the dragon, the thing with the dragons, and I was like, okay. He
right.
goes, it's great. We have to play against dragons and giant spiders and da 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 da. Well, I was like, okay, so it sounds like Dungeons and Dragons. No, it's better than that. It da da da. And I was like, okay, so, and I wasn't really, I wasn't really into the fantasy. I tried to get into fantasy. I actually, I have a disc. I need to send you. I have Icewind Dale. You ever play that?
No, I haven't. I've not played that one.
I have it. If you want it, you can have it because it worked on
Well,
Windows 95. I'm sure it can work on some. I'm sure it can work on Windows 7. But I was like, I had the game, and then people were playing, like World of Warcraft, and then like
mm-hmm.
World of Warcraft was really hyped up, and but EverQuest has been there since
It's
97, 90. No, it was like 90. I forget when it came out.
no, it
19. It
was
came out in the 90s, didn't it?
98,
That sounds about right.
98. I
90.
want to say it was
Yeah.
98 because this was because I started at Time Warner in 99, so it had to be
Okay.
98,
Okay.
like 98 or like early 90. No, it was 98. It was 98. Yeah.
And because my friend had this computer he got from Computer City, this like Sony, and I was like you have a Sony? He goes yeah man, it was only $300 and blah blah blah. And I'm gonna use it as my gaming computer. Yeah, right. You can use your gaming computer. So I had to upgrade that stupid thing for the longest time. I hated that computer. It was just so slow. And then he got he got this computer. I forget where we got it from. I I built a computer one time, and it was a 46 chip. It had I think it was like 30 30 gigahertz. It was either 4625 or 4630. And
Okay.
we overclocked the chip. I had this thing overclocked. I had all these fans and everything in it. And then I gave it to him, and he would kick it. I was like, "Why are you kicking the PC?" He goes, "It's so slow." I'm like, I said, "Stop kicking it because the the CPU was on this daughter card in a PCI slot, and it was a special piece. It was a special CPU that sat there, in this slot."
Right.
And I was like, "Stop kicking it. It's going to break the board." Well, he's playing EverQuest, and he must have kicked it one night. He kicked it, and it slid across the floor and hit the other side, or hit the other leg of his desk, and his graphics went out. So I get this call at 10 o'clock at night. "George, something happened with my computer. I was on EverQuest." I was like,
You kicked
"Did
it,
you kick
didn't
the P?" No. I said, "Did you kick the PC?" "No." And I'm like, "Well, how did your graphic?" "It just went out. I don't know. I'll be over tomorrow." "You can't come tonight?" "No, I'm going to be over tomorrow." Go over next day. It, the case has this big dent in it, and I was like, "What happened, man? What happened?" He goes,
I,
"I kicked it." I know you kicked it. I know you kicked it because I said, because I can't, 'cause I can't get the case off. I have to bend. I have to try to bend it out. I bend it out, and I see that the PC. I see that the PC. Sorry, the CPU card is. It was like this in the slot. Now it's like this, and
ah,
it cracked because he kicked it, and it cracked. So I could see all the. I see all the circuit pads,
yeah.
and I say, "All right, dude, I don't know. I don't know." He goes, "Well, I got this job. I'm going to save up enough money. I'm going to get myself, like an Alienware." So he was going to get an Alienware. And I was like, "Okay, great. This is going
All
to
right.
save me from having to do any of this, like BS with him." So he never got the Alienware, but he got this. He got this computer from Micro PC. I think like Micro PC Center or something like that. Some place he got online,
All
and
right.
he got this whole kit, and he was going to build it himself. Knew nothing about computers. Going to build the computer himself. So
Oh yeah, that's gonna turn out great.
yeah, he called. He called me at the. He called me. I think he called Steve because Steve, Steve Warnick. He calls
Hmm.
Steve, and Steve and I go over there. We go over to his house. I'm like, "Wow!" I said, "This is a really serious system, man." Yeah, he had this cooling tower that has the fluid in it with
Okay.
the thing.
Yeah.
And I said to Steve, I said, "Steve," I was like, "Look, he should not have the cooling tower." He goes, "Why?" He said, "Because he's going to kick the thing, and once he
It's gonna
kicks
break.
it,
He's
the
gonna
thing's
kick it.
going to
It's gonna
break,
break,
and all
and
the
the
water's
water
going
is
to
gonna.
come. It's going to come out. It's going to
Yeah.
short circuit the board, and he's going to be dead in the water." And he goes, "No, no, no." He goes, I'll help him through it. Well, Steve, Steve had to do something. I forget what it is, and then he had to leave, so he left. And my friends going, "Well, and I said, "Okay, when you're going to do this, when you're going to put it together, call me. I will
Yeah.
help you." I said, "There's a certain way that
It has to go together. Yeah.
the collets had." Well, there were two. There was an inlet hose and an outlet hose. The
Mm-hmm.
inlet hose was shorter than the outlet hose. And I was like, okay, you understand that? Yeah, 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 yeah. Well, it was this aluminum heat sink that had an inlet hose and an outlet hose,
Okay.
and you had to put thermal paste on. Guess what he
Mm-hmm.
didn't do? He didn't put the thermal paste on. But
Oh
what he
man.
did was he put the collets on backwards. So when he
Ah.
put the collets on, he filled the thing up with fluid, put the whole thing together, and everything's running great. Oh my God, it's fast. It's da 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 da. I gotta play EverQuest. I'll play EverQuest. And we didn't hear him. We didn't hear from him for like 3 days until like Sunday night. I think like Sunday night at 12 midnight. He calls me up, dude. I don't know what's happening. He goes, the thing is smoking. It's going. Bzz, 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 bzz. I'm like, what? What? I'm like, what? What? He goes, he goes, can you come over? I was like, I can come over the next day because I had off.
It's midnight. Yeah.
Yeah, midnight. Yeah. So I go over, I go over after work and I'm looking at it. I'm like, oh. I said, didn't I tell you to call me and just
To
call me?
call me
We will go
first.
through it together. I will let you do it. But no, I didn't think you were going to let me do it. And I did it myself. About it's like, first off, you didn't put any thermal paste between the heat sink, and the
Mm-hmm.
CPU.
Yeah.
So he goes, well, what does that do? I said that transfers the heat from the chip, into
It
the
dis- it
into
dissipates
the
and
heat sink to
disperses the heat.
dissipate the heat,
Yeah.
evenly. Oh, is that what that little, syringe thing was for? Yeah, that's what
Yes.
that thing was
That's what
for.
the
The thing
little
you didn't
syringe.
open. Yeah, that was that one. And he goes, and I said, and you didn't, I said, you didn't crimp the collets. Crimp, you had to crimp the I said, you
Yeah.
just put the collets on he goes, oh, you have to crimp them? Yeah.
Yes. That.
Before you put the thermal paste on and then put the heat sink on, you had to do
Mhm.
that. And he just filled it all up and, he just
Yeah.
ran it. And I was like, it was fine until it started getting hot. When it started getting hot, the fluid started to boil. It was boiling inside the tube and it expanded the collets and it just shot like coolant all
And
over
it just.
everything and the board was
Yeah.
gone. It was just gone. And he was like, "Oh man, I didn't know." Blah 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 blah. I was like,
There's a reason why you call first before you touch anything. Said, do not touch anything. Call. Call
"It's my
first,
computer. I was gonna put it together myself." Well, you
and
learned a valuable lesson.
you did.
You spent $1,300 and you could have bought the stupid ass Alienware system, and I wouldn't have had to go through this
Right.
BS
Right.
with you.
And so I thought about one time getting a water cooling system on one of them on one of my systems, but when I started doing a little bit more research on it, and I saw how much of a pain in the ass it is, and not only just setting it up, getting the water, and then I knew well enough to know that accidents happen. Even though
Yeah,
I may not ever intend on anything happening to it, or the any part of the cooling system would break or part of it will leak.
yeah,
But that was my main. That was always one of my main fears and hesitations about a water cooling system. It
yeah,
was just the simple fact is that it could break or something like that could happen. Because again, with me and my mind, the way that it goes, it goes to the worst case scenario. Because that friend of mine, he was talking it up and saying, oh, water cooling system, it's great, it keeps it cooler than a regular fan does, it helps keep the CPU cooler. Um, you play a game smoother. Blah 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 blah. Whole nine.
Yeah, I didn't understand that because most of the graphics cards used either 12 to 20. I think the Nvidia cards used like 24 volts,
Mm-hmm.
and they had
Yeah.
a three terminal connect. Excuse me, a three terminal connector. So if you had 1,000 watt power supply, you were golden.
Yeah. So
And it had that connector for the GPU.
mm-hmm.
And the Nvidia card that I had, or actually that he had in his Alienware when he got his Alienware, it had two gigantic fans on it, and it had like two heat sinks. So this thing ran really, really hot, but it was
Yeah.
really nice graphics. It wasn't 4K, but it was HDMI. So,
Okay.
but
Yeah.
yeah, it was yeah.
With a setup like that, and as powerful as that was, then yeah, it had to have been
But
like
the
the graphics must have been like immaculate and must have,
Yeah, I mean the
yeah.
graphics for EverQuest were like so good, and then he had a really good monitor. The problem, the other problem he had was he had a Siberian Husky, and the Siberian Husky would come into the room, and when I would open up his computer,
Full of
I
hair.
could knit another dog. Like I could pull fur out of the system, through the fans. And I'm like, dude, you got to keep this clean. It's not. No, no, it's fine. It's fine. It's like it's gonna be another. It's gonna be another thing. Like
Mm.
I was like, remember the fluid. Remember the fluid.
Yeah.
Transfer. CPU. Remember that.
So
Oh
you should
yeah.
definitely look into getting a getting like a rechargeable like a air duster. Yeah.
Just keep the dog out of the room. You're playing a
Well, see, that's
game.
the problem. So
I couldn't
sometimes
keep the dog
you're
out
not
of the
able
room.
you're
Yeah.
not able to keep the dog out. The dog's gonna get in. So
But I mean,
that's just my suggestion. Get a get a get a rechargeable fan, a rechargeable mini air blower.
right.
Then just because I do with my systems. I try to do it once a month.
Hmm.
Sometimes twice a month. I'll take my systems outside, open them up, dust them out, bring them back in. So I found that doing that it helps a lot.
It does.
Because naturally I've gone through many a machine just from not dusting, and all of a sudden just why's this thing not working right? The hell's going on with it? And it just die, right? So I learned a very, very valuable lesson of one day just randomly one day going through Staples and seeing canned air. I'm like, huh. Let me try and see just randomly dusting it out one day, and I did it, and then I just got into a habit of doing it
Oh,
because
yeah.
it just worked. It
Yeah,
helped
yeah.
keeping the
I mean,
system.
especially like for like a laptop, laptop computers and
Oh yeah,
stuff.
absolutely, yeah. So, tip of the day, everybody: invest in a battery powered air blower.
Yep.
They're pretty cheap. I think I got mine for like $10.
Yeah.
Yep, $5, $10, something like that. But yeah, definitely that's the way to go with it. So we are coming close near to the end.
Yeah. Got to get
So
going because
because
we got Jeff coming up.
Jeff Kennedy coming up next with
That other side of information
the other side of the information. After that, we have conversations with T. Nathan.
at
So
11 o'clock.
yeah.
Conversations
So,
with Batman at
Conversations
11
with
o'clock.
Batman at 11.
Yeah. No, I'm sorry, T. Nathan. I'm sorry. Conversation with T. Nathan.
Conversations with T. Nathan. Yeah. Cause last
He's
thing,
gonna kill me for that one, but that's okay.
so 'cause last thing we need is for him to decide to start punching people in the face.
I'll have to send him a copy of Arkham Knight, after I'm done with it. So
And so yeah, so everybody stick around, listen to GCPR Live. You can find us out everywhere on the social medias. We got the app coming soon. It is in testing hell right now. But
and then pretty soon we'll be in testing purgatory, and then hopefully in testing heaven.
and
So.
then we'll be in testing heaven. So yeah, that it's a step process to it. So right now we're in testing hell, going to testing purgatory, and then we'll be done testing, and then it'll be the rollout. So
Okay.
everybody, appreciate you coming and stopping by, hanging out with us,
Yep.
hearing us ramble on about Ubuntu, about XML, Java, Ubuntu, all of the couple stories that happened this week, and some games. So yeah.
Yep. Some games. So if you have any favorite games,
So
please put that in the
the
chat. We'll get to it in our next show.
yeah,
Or if you have any other problems, just put it in the chat.
again,
We'll see your
shoot us
emails. We'll see the chat. We'll look at it, and we'll get on your next, get on that, on the next show.
Yeah. So
So
again, shoot us an email, gcprhelpdesk@gmail.com. Yeah, gcprhelpdesk@gmail.com. And on that, I believe we're gonna end this. And
Okay.
yeah. All right. Great show.
All
Great
right. Thank
show,
you.
good time, and so yeah. Everybody, take care.